When you hear the words macro slider, does your blood start pumping? I hope so, because we're going to take a look at this Velbon macro slider. Here we can take a closer look at the slider. You can see that it is made in Japan, and overall really nice solid construction, what you would expect. To mount a camera, there is a screw and screw. Not crazy about this, but it does work. So can move this screw in and out, and this one additionally to tighten this for a camera. It moves 4 ways, so over here this will move the slider left and right. And this screw back here locks it into place. The forward and back adjustment is handled by here, and the lock is here. And they're really close together and difficult to get to. You had it set up like this, and we're behind the camera, moving this and moving this knob to adjust the camera position, and it's so close to the base. But it doesn't really matter, you can freely move it any which way. And then underneath there is a standard 1/4 inch mount for a tripod, and I think that it might be possible to take that out and get a 3/8 inch fitting in there for a light stand or something like that. And as we can see, the slider weighs in at almost 1 pound and 8 ounces. Or 776 grams, so it is pretty heavy. With the camera set up on a tripod, there are 2 issues that I've run into. The first is that the front of the slider will hit the table at some angles. This with the 60mm micro Nikkor. I also used a 50mm Panagore that is under a bunch of names, and that was even a larger issue because of the shorter focal length. And then the second thing is that the adjustment for forward and back is quite difficult to use. So this is the knob that should adjust forward and back, and here's the lock, so you can't use, if I unlock it, it's just going to roll forward. I don't have a way to hold on to this knob and do that, so what I end up doing is just holding on to the camera with my left hand, and then with my right hand I'm able to loosen that and then just move the camera up and down manually without even using the knob. It really doesn't need to be there. So I've got live view on. I'm going to lock it into where the nickel down there is in focus. Tighten that, that stays fine, and then do some fine adjustment left and right. And everything is set up. I have it in focus, and it works fairly well. So let me just double check the settings. Alright, I double checked all the settings, got everything set up, press, mirrors up, take the photo, and this is what it ends up looking like. One thing you can do to get around the issues with the front of the slider hitting a table or whatever surface you're using is to turn it around and mount the camera in reverse. This makes it a little bit difficult to access the left and right adjustment, but the back and forward a little easier to access. Not sure you really want to go through the hassle of doing that, but it is an option. Overall, I think it's okay. I can get around the front of the slider hitting a table or surface or whatever. I have longer macro lenses that won't hit anything. That's not an issue. I really dislike the front lock right there. It's just so cramped and not very nice to use, and you really gotta turn it tight to make sure it stays in place. You don't want camera slipping around or anything like that. But once everything is locked into place, it is very solid, and it is easier to use than like kicking a tripod or trying to make small adjustments with a camera just on a tripod. So it has an advantage there. In terms of value, you have to compare it to the other options out there, and at this time I'm just going to let you know that do have an affiliate link to the eBay listings for this in the description below. If you make any purchase through that link, you get a really small cut. So the two, I would say, alternatives that are near the price range of this, which is about $50 to $60 if you're patient, otherwise a little bit more, is the 4-way macro slider by Newer, and a bunch of other rebranded manufacturers, brand names on it or whatever, for like $16 to $25-ish, and I took a pass on that. I'm pretty sure there's going to be issues either with build quality, construction, holding weight, locking into place, something like that. And then there is a Manfrotto slider that the last time I checked eBay, could find one for about $100, somewhere around there. I'll throw a link down below also so you can kind of get the idea of prices on that. And so if you're okay with the issues that the slider has and it fits a niche need for you, you know, I'm not going to get rid of mine anytime soon until I find a better replacement, with the anticipation that a replacement is going to be considerably more money. I do think that the Manfrotto slider might be a better option if you're doing stuff out in the field, just because of weight savings. I mean, this thing is pretty hefty, and I'm not sure I would like lugging it around, but again, that's going to be a personal preference for you. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I also make videos on vintage photography gear, some macro stuff, and other things where I just don't find videos on YouTube. So I will see you in the next one.